I've been fighting Slade for so long. I guess it's hard to just let it go. But sometimes I feel like I'm the only one still looking for him. The only one who can stop him.
What happens when you are fighting the greatest enemy you have ever faced? Someone who knows your every move. Someone who lives rent-free in your head and allows for your paranoia to grow at an astronomical rate, where the only thing that can save you is stepping out of the dark and into the light. Yo, welcome back to the House of Animation. It's your boy Jay, and today we have a video that will be looking into Robin's psyche from Teen Titans. Make sure to slap that subscribe button and turn the notifications and alerts on. But as always, House fam, let's drop that intro. I can definitely stand on this when I say, when it comes to Teen Titan episodes that surround Robin, the first thing that comes to mind is Red X this, Red X that. And that's facts. Now, don't get me wrong, the Red X episodes are top notch and definitely deserve the love. But if the Red X shows Robin's obsession with his enemies, then the 5th episode of the 3rd season titled Haunted is a sister episode to that. Haunted shows what happens when obsession turns into stress, which turns into paranoia so strong that you're ready to even put hands on your own lover. That's right, we are here to break down one of the best episodes and take a deep dive into what happens when paranoia goes unchecked and what happens when you can't let go. Let's break this joint down. First off, shout out to Reg. If you haven't checked out his series where he covers the other members of the Teen Titans, go check them out. Matter of fact, they were so good I had to get me a piece of some of that Titan action for myself. And who else better to end it off with but the boy wonder himself, my dog Robin. Now, before we even get to the juicy part, we gotta give a little context to the episode. Haunted is a continuation of the Aftermath parts 1 and 2, where Slade, aka Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, who's a member of Batman's Rogue Gallery, an assassin who's gone toe-to-toe with the greatest superhero of all time. And this is maybe where he developed his obsession for the young Dick Grayson, aka Robin, and probably where Robin developed that same on-site energy. Bro, it's like every encounter with these two, it's smoke, shit, it's a fire every time they see each other. In the Aftermath 1 and 2, we see Tara, who after tricking the Titans and getting into a relationship with Beast Boy and becomes a full-blown member, betrays the team when they find out that she's actually Slade's apprentice. She then tells them and washes the Titans, fully breaking their trust and recognizing her as much of an op as they do with Slade. In the end though, we see her redeem herself by killing Slade and sacrificing herself in a way that was definitely reminiscent of Darth Vader. This only grows the deep-seated hatred the Titans have for Slade. Not only did he cause a wreckage of their tower, city, but most of all, he took away their beloved former teammate. But no one is more connected to Slade other than the boy wonder himself, Robin. And honestly, hold up, what's up with these grown-ass men trying to groom these little kids in these cartoons? Him, the Powder Puff Girls, Hisoka and Gon, Orochimaru and Sasuke. Slade has always been on Robin's back from the moment he separated from Bats and was trying to groom him to be his apprentice. He even manipulated Robin's hatred by blackmailing him into becoming his apprentice, and who Robin thought he was finessing Slade and got in way too deep, and ultimately ends up finessing his own self and revealing his identity to Slade by accident, which allowed Slade to blackmail Robin. And most of all, Robin's obsessions with Slade caused him to initially create the Red X persona while keeping the rest of the Titans in the dark, because Robin did not trust them to play their part. Which is funny because, like Reg pointed out in his Cyborg video, the Titans all played their part when Cyborg had to invade the Hive Academy undercover. But to be fair, the Red X episode came out before this one. This just shows that Dick Grayson's Robin could never outrun Batman's ideology, because this act of not trusting his teammates and thinking he was a one-man army was 100% a Batman move. Shoot, that issue of trust alone was one of the main reasons Robin wanted to leave his side and establish his own legacy, and also one of the main reasons Robin would go on to become Nightwing. Bruh, every time Slade would appear, it would be on sight and Robin would drop everything just to run the fade. Literally, if the world was on fire, Robin would drop everything and literally attack Slade on sight. Robin hated being coerced into being Slade's pawn and would take his opportunities to oppose and fight Slade whenever he could. But no other episode better shows how deep Slade has Robin in a chokehold other than Haunted, which takes place after Slade's death in Aftermath Part 2. We open up to a yawning Cyborg walking in on Robin late at Knight, who was questioning why he's even still up. Son, without even taking an eye off the computer screen, Robin tells Cyborg he still has work to do. While Cyborg is like, alright man, and goes off to bed, this right here is our number one clue to Robin's obsession and his growing paranoia, because Slade is believed to be gone for good, but to Robin, he's not so sure. More importantly, this shows us how hard it is to let go of trauma, as Robin is clearly traumatized to the point he doesn't believe his number one op is truly dead. Shortly after Robin goes down to a dark, dimly lit basement, he opens up the box with all of Slade's things, and with the very example of his obsession of Slade, it's like a counter to his growing paranoia. As he touches the one thing that's the very embodiment of Slade, his mask, it releases some dust. And pay very close attention to this scene right here, because this is literally foreshadows what the ending of the episode is going to be. Cyborg cuts the lights on and catches Robin red-handed and tells him, yo, Slade is gone for good, man. You can breathe and let it go. And the not so convinced Robin doesn't fully believe this, as they never found the body, further alarming his suspicions. The tower's alarms go off and the two leave to investigate while the camera lingers on Slade's cracked mask before fading to black. The alarm turns out to be Cinderblock attacking some cops, and for those of you who need a little recap, Cinderblock was like Slade's number one loyal minion, and more evidence is starting to pile up in support of Slade not being so dead. As the Titans are fighting Cinderblock in the rain on a gloomy dark day, Robin actually gets tossed into the woods, and when he awakens, he sees Slade standing across from him. A chase ensues on some Naruto-esque shit, and as they're jumping from branch to branch, Robin's throwing a burden ring which misses due to a flash of lightning. When Robin finally catches up to Slade, he's unable to put the pause on him, allowing Slade to talk more of that smack, which further gets him into Robin's head. And this is where Slade reveals that he actually frees Cinderblock as a diversion and placed 3 bombs around the city's fault lines that would go off in 3 hours, causing a massive earthquake that would split the city in two. And just as Robin goes like, hi bro, I've heard enough, and tries to capture Slade, the latter disappears in the ensuing lightning flash. When the other Titans catch up to him, Beast Boy, who is hilariously getting sick and on every sneeze is morphing into another animal, is like, bro, where were you when we needed you in the fight? And Robin's in a rage because the very person he was certain wasn't dead has now made his return. And just like Mob from Mob Psycho 100, Robin has fully reached his 100% state of paranoia and tells them of Slade's return and plot, while the rest of the Titans are confused because they know that Slade drowned and melted in lava, with his survival seemingly being impossible. Not even reasoning can resonate with Robin, as he dismisses it and tells the team that the only thing that matters right now is stopping Slade and saving the city, sending Raven, Cyborg, and Beast Boy to deactivate the bombs, while Robin and Starfire go off to find Slade further into the woods. Upon learning from the other Titans that they found nada in the locations where the bombs were supposed to be ticking, Robin gets even more angrier and sinks further into his darkness, stating he should have just done it himself. Sounds like someone else we know. Suddenly, Slade appears in front of Robin, and just like that, Robin goes chasing off after him like a dog off a leash, leaving Starfire hella confused. When he finally catches up to Slade, Robin wastes no time and immediately starts throwing hands, and Slade slights Robin even more, hitting him where it hurts the most, telling the perfectionist that he has gotten sloppy in Slade's absence. And to keep it a buck, Slade's not lying. Robin's all bruised up, wet and muddy, while Slade doesn't even have a scratch on him. Shoot, it doesn't even look like he's broken a sweat. Starfire finally finds him, and just when Slade hits Rob with a nice little left hook that knocks him to the ground, allowing Slade to run off, this man Robin is yelling for Starfire to stop the escaping Slade, who just runs past her, much to her confusion again, because to her point of view, ain't nothing there. In one of the most shocking parts of this episode, Robin angrily grabs her arm and rashes her for letting Slade get away.
What happened?
You are hurting me.
Slade ran right by you! How could you let him get away?
But, Robin, there was no one there.
Confused, she starts crying and tells him that there was no one there, causing Robin's eyes to go wide with shock and fear. And bruh, shout out to Robin's voice actor Scott Menville. Hands down, his greatest performance is Robin, because the way he was able to project the years of hatred, anger, and obsession mixed in with full tilt paranoia was something that was never depicted in the series. Robin was always seen as the serious Titan, being the leader of the Titans, but in this episode, we got to see what it would be like if Robin was fully consumed by paranoia and fear, to the point that he would project on the very person that was closest to him, his love interest Starfire. As much as you see the fear in Robin's eyes of what he's become due to his internal battle of self-doubt versus self-assurance, nothing makes it seem more impactful other than the true fear on Star's face. Again, Robin ventures off into his own darkness as he pursues Slade on his own, believing himself to be the only deterrent, while Star links up with the rest of the Titans, who are confused at this point, and they are actually starting to believe that Slade might actually be behind all of this, to which Star tells them that she's never seen Robin this angry, let alone not at her, and they decide to go find him. Robin's search leads him straight to Slade's old hideout. After looking around, he notices Slade and tries to sneak up on him, only to play himself, truly proving that he's become sloppy. He questions Slade as to why Starfire couldn't see him, to which Slade replies that he's using a cloaking device to mask himself in the bombs. This exchange shows Robin's paranoia, as he's literally trying to justify why only he can see Slade. Walking away from this exchange, Robin further cements the fact that only he can stop Slade, to which Slade tells him that, bro, it's impossible, stroking Robin's anger further. And when Robin tries to land a hit, it's to no avail, as Slade is literally dodging everything up until the point starts fighting back. Hearing Robin's ass whooping on the communicator, the Titans pull up with the quickness to help their leader. And just as they pull up to the scene, they see Robin getting his ass touched up by seemingly no one. Realizing his teammates could not see Slade due to the cloaking device, Robin yells Slade's name in an attempt to clarify and gain their assistance. Starfire quickly charges a starbolt in her hand, illuminating the room with a green light. Robin, seeing that Slade has once again vanished, turns to the other Titans and rashes them for not finding the generators. And Cyborg tells him like there was no generators, as they looked everywhere and were unable to find anything. Robin explains to Starfire that the reason she couldn't see Slade was due to the cloaking device, but this makes her question why Robin was the only one who could see him in that case. With all the cards on the table, the rest of the Titans are starting to see that this is all in Robin's head. Trying to reason with Robin by one, debunking the cloaking device theory, because if Robin could see Slade running past his teammates both times, why couldn't they? Remarking it was impossible for Slade to have escaped because they were blocking the one and only exit. And to be fair, if I just got my ass whooped like that and I have legit physical bruises and my body is all bloodied up, yeah, I'm sorry, but in my head or not, that shit is really real. So lost in his rage and paranoia and fear, to the point where Robin is full on delusional at this point and is using his bruised body as proof, assuring them that Slade is real and asserts that he must find the generators himself. Cyborg stops Robin and yells, "There are no generators, there is no Slade," and Robin angrily replies that he is real, and since he is the only one who sees him, he is the only one who can stop him, threatening anyone who got in his way. The others look at him in shock just before Starfire knocks him unconscious by hitting him in the back with a starbolt. And honestly, this mirrored the scene from earlier in which Robin was driven to stop Slade to protect the ones closest to him, so he projects all that fear on Star when she fails to stop Slade. And now here she's forced to protect not only the team from Robin, but to also protect Robin from his own self, a choice that she feels guilty to even make. Waking up in a dark infirmary room and restrained to his bed, Robin overhears the other Titans discussing his abnormal behavior and that they're planning to run tests on him. Just then, Robin sees himself all alone. Slade magically appears. Like, damn son, you just be popping out of the darkness. Meanwhile, after running said test, the results shows that Robin's vital signs are normal. Starfire refuses to believe this, as Robin would have never threatened or yelled at his friends, and presses the team to find out what is causing Robin to act so violently. Beast Boy suggests that Slade may actually be invisible, but Cyborg debunks this and says that's cap, as his radar showed no indication of Slade's presence, and would have if he were were indeed invisible. Just then, Robin's vital signs go haywire. Just before his heart level flatlines, the team busts into the infirmary room to discover Robin not being there. Before they can try to find them, Robin actually off-screen activates the tower's quarantine protocol, and every entrance and exit in the tower is shut completely closed. Worried for Robin's safety, Starfire unsuccessfully tries to force her way out of the sickbay, leading Raven to use her powers to find Robin, and she eventually does, and telepathically communicating with the others, argues over the presence of Slade in the tower. However, Slade appears and throws a jab to Robin, which Raven actually feels and gets thrown back by. This makes her realize that Slade is indeed real, at least to Robin in his mind, and that in fighting Slade, he is losing badly. The stress on his brain is literally killing him. Back in the dark, dimly lit basement, the episode comes full circle, back to the very place that it started. Robin and Slade are continuing to fight, with Slade easily dodging Robin's attack and washing him badly. Again, to the point that Robin can't even stand up, and the lights are starting to flicker, and each time they flicker, Slade is disappearing in and out. Back in the sickbay, Raven, still monitoring Robin telepathically, informs the others that he's close to death. Starfire, not finna let her lover die on her watch, tears a hole in the floor and zooms to the basement. Meanwhile, Robin at this point is defeated mentally and physically, and is begging Slade to stop, to no avail. And I ain't gonna hold y'all, whenever Robin and Slade fought, Robin always caught the work. But the way this man, Slade, is washing Robin is tough and hard to watch, as Robin is literally begging this grown-ass man to stop. This scene was giving Jason Todd and the Joker vibes. It was that bad. He then tells Slade that the other Titans believe he ain't real, and Slade tells him that he is the real deal, and if he weren't, how else would Robin's body be in such a state? Finally, Robin, starting to see the light, and compares his bruised body to Slade, which is spotless. Not even a hair is missing off of Slade's head, and Slade says that
It keeps you up at night. The evil that haunts every dark corner of your mind.
he is the evil that haunts every dark corner of his mind. Robin realizes that Slade is only in his mind, and he has been living there rent-free. But only in the dark. Realizing that his friends were right and finally coming to terms with the fact that Slade was not real, his mind tries to play one last trick. The Slade vision starts to charge towards Robin to finish him off, but Robin turns on the basement lights, causing the vision of Slade to finally disappear. And in that exact moment, Starfire finally pulls up, to which Robin assures her that he is safe now, and she helps him back to the infirmary. The cause of Slade living rent-free in Robin's head was due to hallucinogenic chemical reagent released by Slade's mask. And when Robin inhaled it at the beginning of the episode, it entered his bloodstream and infiltrated his central nervous system, which caused him to hallucinate Slade and make him actually believe the latter was alive. With Robin now being freed of his torment and the toxins, as pointed out by Cyborg, Robin does one final last check and turns the lights off, only to see just his teammates. Finally free of his torment, Robin's finally able to reflect on the past events and realizes that since he had been fighting Slade for so long, it was just hard to accept that he was done for. Star Fox and Cyborg reassure Robin that he is never alone, and if Slade does ever truly return, they would be ready for him, advising Robin to finally rest up. The episode ends with Beast Boy stealing the scene by making this Dark Teen Titans episode lighthearted again, signaling that everything is back to normal. But we end with the mystery and revelation that the chemical from the mask was actually triggered by an outside signal. As Cyborg tells Raven and Star this, they are filled with a sense of that this may be deeper than we thought. The scene then switches to Slade mask in the basement, and the camera slowly zooms in on it as the eye hole starts glowing red, ultimately ending this episode in a mystery. Man, I love it when they give you the clues right from the jump, because this episode plays out like a detective episode. All the clues are hidden in plain view, and it's not towards the end till you realize, oh snap, it's all in my head. Because the way this show was written, at some point it made you believe Slade actually was real in one way or another. Slade has always been Robin's worst enemy, literally hating this man ever since Robin learned of his name, and this was further fueled by Slade constantly testing Robin to see if he was worthy of being his apprentice, only to let Robin get close and dump him when he finds out that Terra would be easier to control, and who also had stronger powers. I personally think that this was the catalyst that brought out that deep-seated hatred that Robin had for Slade to a whole nother level, though. I mean, let's think about it. Slade and Robin's relationship is a symbiotic one, as Robin is trying to establish his own legacy by stopping Slade, and Slade is trying to further his legacy by having an apprentice to carry on his ideals and morals, both benefiting from their causes. And honestly, this sounded like Batman and the Joker's relationship. The constant need to only do so much to check their opposition, but never enough to truly eliminate them out of fear of losing a piece of who you truly are. Robin in the show didn't want to be treated as a kid, and that was the real reason he left the Cape Crusader side. After losing his parents and getting to be the world's greatest detective sidekick, he finally found the one person who he could prove himself against, and that was Slade. But when Slade dumped him from Terra, I think that's when the true obsession began, and the fear and paranoia started to grow within Robin. And when Slade met his death at the hands of the very person who was meant to replace him, yikes! The aftermath of the Aftermath episodes caused Robin to mask how he was feeling until it came to an head. All of the clues were laid out for us in this episode. Robin's hallucinations start in a dark place, in the basement, and in Robin's inhaling of the chemicals from Slade mask is only interrupted when Cyborg catches him and turns on the light. Whenever the Slade visions appears, it's in a dark setting. Wow, the only way to beat Slade was with the light. That was a metaphor for the deepest and darkest things come to life when we are the darkest parts of our lives. Also, we suppress our darkest thoughts in the darkest regions of our mind. While on the other hand, when the light gets turned on, Robin literally sees the light, which cleanses his mind to allow him to think clear. As we are shown in the episode, Robin's inability to reason or be reasoned with. The only time that Robin questions his mind are the scenes that he is not in the dark nor alone. The light has always been the yin to the yang of the dark. They live on both ends of the same spectrum, and that's why they are also the colors of the yin and yang symbol. They are opposites, just like Slade is Robin's number one opposition. And Robin lets his paranoia fully consume him. He is unable to beat Slade. And think about it, especially whenever we see Slade, when we're first introduced to him, it's in the forest where he is not getting a single drop of rain. Matter of fact, he doesn't even have the same rain aura as Robin does. Or when they're traveling from branch to branch, whenever Slade steps on a branch, nothing reacts, while Robin's branch is reacting from the weight of Robin. And every time we see Robin get further into the woods or further goes and do something by himself, it's also a metaphor of him getting deeper into the darkness, deeper away from the people who can bring him to the light. And when Slade tells him the only reason why Robin can see him is because of a cloaking device, the cloaking device is actually Robin's mind. That is the metaphor there. It explains why Starfire cannot see him and the rest of the team cannot see Slade, but only Robin is able to see him because it is all in his head. Robin is only able to beat Slade when he lets go and overcomes his paranoia. Letting go is hard, especially when you are attached to something for so long that it's become a piece of your identity. And every time you're reminded of a certain event or anything that's remotely similar to that event or person, it would trigger you, making it harder to let that thing go. And in Robin's case, he left Batman to be his own man and establish his own legacy. And when he finally got a rival that, if he beat, it would allow him to cement his legacy, essentially proving himself to not only him, but also to Batman, who's always struggled to stop the Joker once and for all. Robin is not able to let go because, as he stated, he had been fighting Slade for so long that he could not actually accept that he was gone. As we witness the certain traumas in his head when Raven warps into his mind, there was Slade, the Batcave, which symbolized Batman, and the death of his parents, all the things that he has not come to peace with. And I believe Robin couldn't let go because he wasn't the man to finally stop Slade. He was determined to be the one, and when it turned out, he couldn't believe Slade was truly dead because he always felt like he was the one to do it. That's why I think he was so hell-bent at going at it all alone. This time, as we see in this episode, when he finally accepts that Slade is actually gone, he's able to let go of the fact that it doesn't matter who defeated Slade as long as Slade is gone for good. Or is he? Man, what an episode. You already know if I picked it up, it's a 10 out of 10 and you can't say nothing. I don't care. But this episode to me was always the defining episode when it came to looking at Robin's psyche, and it was a ride from beginning to end and relatable because I'm not gonna hold y'all, we've all been in a position of letting something consume us to the point where it's impossible to let that something go, only to be saved by the clarity of the light or lifelong friends, in my case Reg, who's helped me let go of things, and vice versa. As much as we we want to do things on our own to define the person we are, it is okay to realize when you need help, and being able to realize that is one of the best qualities you could possess as a person. I love this episode. Only thing I did wish though was that they ended off in a cliffhanger, and unfortunately the show never revisited that topic of who sent the signal to trigger the mask. And it would have been cool to see the show tie that in with Slade's return during the Trigon arc in season 4. Nonetheless, as an episode, it proudly stands out amongst the rest of the Teen Titans episodes. Thanks for stopping by the channel and checking us out. If you made it this far, make sure to slap that like button and turn the notifications and alerts on. You do not know how much it means to us here at the House of Animation. Also, make sure to drop a comment below on whether you agreed or whether you didn't agree with the video, and also what you would like to see from the House of Animation in upcoming videos. And well, with that, you already know what it is, baby. Gotta blast.